I had a Rosh Yeshiva named Rabbi Yisrael Zev Gustman. He was my Rosh Yeshiva for a year and a half, 2 years almost. I was in Eretz Yisrael, a yeshiva called Netzach Yisrael. It's hard for me to explain to young boys like you who these people were. Rav Moshe Feinstein, who I met many times, the Steipler, who I met a few times, Rav Shach, Rav Baron Leib, Rav Chaim Kanievsky of the world, Rav Dave Schwartzman, Rav Chaim Epstein. I was able to meet all of them. I learned by them. Rav Shach, many times I was by. And I want to tell you, my Rosh Yeshiva was not just an Adam Gadol, but a tzaddik, a royal Rosh Yeshiva from Europe's days. He was so holy and so great in Torah knowledge that he was at the age of, some people say 18, 19, 20, whatever it was, he was at that age in the Bezdin of Reb Chaim Oizer, the Paisik of Europe. Now, I want to explain to you what it means to be the Paisik of Europe. To be known as the Paisik of Europe is an incredible thing when you think of all the Gedolim that lived in Europe. And Reb Chaim Oizer, as well as the Chafetz Chaim, obviously, but Reb Chaim Oizer he was in the Bezdin. He did Dayanis for Reb Chaim Oizer at 20, 20, 19, whatever age it was, I don't remember. But under 21, I know for sure. Imagine being in a Bezdin. You know what knowledge you have to know? You know what Ruach HaKodesh in a certain way of the Ruach, of the holiness of your Torah that you must have? Anyway, he always says, for the 2 years I was there 2 L's, he says over this particular story. Now, before I tell you the story, I want to tell you that my first year I was there, I did not come, I did not come L. Sorry, I was there a year and a half, I did not come L. So I was the only one L, actually. But around Purim time, I'm going to the Beis Medrash early, so I could leave early. No, so I was going to the Beis Medrash early, and I see him outside, this Rosh Yeshiva with the long coat and the Rosh Yeshiva yarmulke. He was around 80 years old at the time, 85. He was watering flowers and grass near his door that he walks into the Beis Medrash. He had a private door that he wouldn't have to go through the whole Beis Medrash and be mevatel Torah. So he had a private door that would take him straight to his seat in the front. Therefore, he doesn't have to have people stand up. I remember he doesn't have to people come to him and bother them. He didn't want to be matriach them. Anyway, so he was watering flower, and it was before, and I was very surprised because I felt it's not kavodik, it's not respectful. A Rosh Yeshiva should be watering flowers. So I was going to run over and help him with it, do it for him. But it was really towards the end, and I saw that he made a face like, don't bother, I'm doing this. And I didn't understand why. So I walked in, I asked one of my rabbeim, I was new to the yeshiva at the time, I think I came a few months earlier, and I said, what's pshat the Rosh Yeshiva is watering flowers and grass? I didn't understand it. I said, isn't it below his dignity? Why does somebody do it for him? He said, I'll tell you a story. And this is a story he tells me. When Rabbi Yisrael Zev Gustman was 18, 19, 20, I don't remember how old he was at the time. Again, he was a big Talmud of Reb Chaim Oizer. He was in the Dayanis. He was a Dayan already. And one day, and I guess he was married a few years already at this time, because it had to do with his children a little bit also. He was married a few years, and Reb Chaim Oizer walks him outside and says, I need to talk to you. And they start talking and learning. And Reb Chaim Oizer was so involved in the learning that they started to walk outside of the city. They started to walk out, but he wasn't going to question Reb Chaim Oizer. We're walking really far. What's going on here? Anyway, he's walking with him, and he takes him deep into a dense forest. Actually, this happened in the early 1940s. That's what it was. I think 1940, 41, right before his city was struck by the Nazis. And he's walking with him into a forest, and out of nowhere, Reb Chaim Oizer points to certain trees and flowers and whatever it was. And he says, this is a healthy flower. This is a healthy berry. These mushrooms are not dangerous. And he was showing him his vast knowledge and greatness of nature. And he thought that's what Reb Chaim Oizer was telling him, how brilliant he was in understanding even random trees and flowers and bushes in the forest. That's what he thought. He didn't say a word to him. And they walked back. An hour and a half later, he gets back to his house, and he didn't question why Reb Chaim Oizer was telling him this. Many years later, a few years later, Rav Gustman found himself in that forest when he ran away from the Nazis. He found himself when they came to his city. He had to run, and he ran with some partisans, and he ran 45 minutes deep into this forest, and he found himself in that direct place that Reb Chaim Oizer a few years earlier was telling him about this is healthy, this is not and he lived for a few days at least, he said. He was there, and he lived off those berries, and he lived off those, and he remembered this was the spot Reb Chaim Oizer showed him, Baruch HaKodesh. Therefore, every year, when it becomes season, when it comes the budding season for flowers in Eretz Yisrael, Purim time, he makes it his mission, Rav Gustman, to go outside and water the grass. Al Zakaras HaTov, that he has to even grass. That he survived for a few days with this grass. That he was able to survive. Actually, he was there for 2 weeks, I think he said. He was there for 2 weeks hiding from the Nazis till they left. And he was a partisan, and he survived the war, obviously. He was my Rosh Yeshiva. But he lived off the flowers and grass and buds and berries that Reb Chaim Oizer showed him years earlier. Baruch HaKodesh. Therefore, I want to tell you the dignity a person has, even to flowers, even to grass. Just don't rip flowers off a branch, off a tree. Don't just rip branches off a tree. Don't just, mezalzel and grass. Everything that's living. It says even the grass. Says in Perik Shira, even the grass says Shvach Ta'Kadosh Baruch Hu, sings Tfilas Ta'Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, everything that's living we should have kavod to, and of course, if we have kavod to living things as well as trees, as well as animals, of course, what we should have to human beings, the respect that we should have to people, and the dignity. And I wish you all